Ronnie Olson of the Shady Spring Tigers. Ronnie, obviously, I know you guys are itching to play some basketball here. It's been a while. I guess the Woodrow game was the last game you guys played, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You guys are probably itching to get back out on the court. You've had 3 games canceled. Each of the last 3 days got to be tough.
Today makes a week that we haven't played, and especially when you come off a loss and we are not too used to those around here, you really want to get out and play. So we haven't been able to do that. Stuff that we can't control. I always tell the guys, control what you can control, but we're going to have plenty of our fair share of games moving forward to 3-4 weeks, so we just got to be ready.
Jack Williams, you said all season, a couple times you told me you think he's the best player in the state of West Virginia, at least one of the best players. What is your thought process on that? It's a little pressure. I think he's the kind of kid that probably would enjoy that pressure. I think the players that you pulled out before, you know what a good player looks like, because you've had a lot of them here. A lot of guys were candidates. What is it about Jack that makes you say that about him?
Number one, he's got the attitude of a great player. You can have all the skills, all the intangibles, and which attitude is an intangible, but you've got to have that aura about you. You've got to have that, swagger about you. You've got to have the it factor, and you got to have guys that are willing to lead you too, because you can't be a great player and not have guys follow you. So Jack has that. He's physically skilled as anybody. We've been so blessed to have guys that are college level big time players that are up for state player of the year every year, and there's not a lot of programs that can say that, and Jack's one of them, and he's falling right in line with that. So he's just a phenomenal player.
He was a kid that and it's been this way for probably 5-10 years, where freshmen are playing big, more predominant roles. You look just in this county alone, there are 6 or 7 freshmen. You've got 2 here yourself this year, and Eli Sexton and Gabe Short. Jack was a guy that you had promoted up to the varsity. He was a starter your first 4 games of his freshman year, and he gets hurt at Logan, misses the rest of the year. How much did that hurt him and the program overall? Because he was good enough to come in and play on a team that had the 2 Chapmans and Manns and Jaden Holstein, guys that had played for a while.
Well, we'll start with Jackie. It hurt him as far as his maturation and his being successful at a varsity level, because it set him back almost a year and a half. That was a gruesome, bad knee injury. He tore about everything he can tear. I know that Jack is happy and blessed to be in a position. He probably wouldn't trade anything that's happened to him to where he's at now, because he's in a position where he's won a state championship in golf, and he won a state championship last year in basketball, and now he's competing for a state title as a senior. It's kind of been a storybook ending at the beginning, when it was a kind of a nightmare at the the beginning of his career, but that's really changed him. But as a player, it sucked, but he's really developed off of that into a guy that in our program it changed, because we didn't have the depth, maybe a starter. Amar came in and took that spot and never looked back, and I think would we have won another 2 state championships with another guy that's able to fire? Who knows? You're not going to be worse by having a better player on the floor. I don't think any coach would say that, so it definitely wouldn't hurt any for sure. But I hated it for him more than anything. But where he's at is beyond where I thought he'd be, and I'm so happy to see him. There's not another kid that I'm happy to be.
Well, definitely, it was a Grimm's fairy tale to begin with.
Yeah.
If you know what that is,
yes,
then
I do.
Okay, then you're kind of you've been around a little bit.
Yeah,
then.
I do. Yeah.
But it definitely was that. It was that for him. But he was able to overcome that. And now, is he more? The points obviously are going to come because he's a great player. Does he fit into that role where the guys that you've seen in the past as a leader?
Yeah, he has, and he's still got a lot of growing in this season to do. And him and I have sat down individually and in front of the team, because we talk about stuff. And being the best player, or maybe not even being the best player, being a leader on a team, it's not always the best player, right? I've been blessed to have my best players be my leaders, because they've outworked everybody, and there's nobody that's going to question Braden Chapman, Amar Maxwell, Tommy Williams. Those guys, when they come in the gym, their effort and how they approach the game. And it makes it easy when you're best. You hear the old cliche, when your best players are doing it, it makes everything easy, but it's true, and I have been so blessed. And Jackie has done that in practice, and now he's learning a couple things. We watched film and broke some things down that he's also got to do on the defensive end to fully grasp that. And I told him, those guys like your brother and those other guys, there was never a question. It didn't take plays off, or we all make mistakes, but it wasn't because we're making errors. But Jackie's he's just a great teammate, and I love to have him because he's always telling me what we might need to do, and he's just a great kid. No matter how much you jump on him, he doesn't throw a fit, or he doesn't back talk, and he'll tell you how he feels. But his parents raised him, and they're great people. I'm friends with them, and Jackie's just a great guy to have, and as your leader, and the guys follow him. They're friends. They don't see him as, there's no jealousy there. Jackie's done it, and he's first in sprints and working hard in practice, and it makes it easy to translate your vision into the team when your best player is supposed to be doing it.
You got Kai back now, and he was talking about the compartment syndrome that he had with his legs and everything. How tough has that been for you as, well, first of all, as a parent, not even a coach? I mean, to watch him have that kind of pain, and he wouldn't even really talk about what they did at Blacksburg because it was such a gruesome test. How tough has that been for you?
I mean, coaching aside, it's been tough because you see your son, you work. I didn't start coaching to coach my son or coach my daughter. I started coaching when I was younger because I love basketball, and I love coaching, and I love teaching the game of basketball. And to see my son go through that, when here I am enjoying a team that's one of the best teams in the state. Now I'm getting guys, pumped up and excited to be, hey, we gotta move on. Kai was out for a while. We had to find a way to do it, and it was hard because my son's sitting beside me, and I'm trying to motivate guys to still play when somebody's injured. And your son is a very tough position. It was times in the gym where I lost focus, and I talked to Coach Radford, and I was like, guys, if you see me start, kind of, gazing off a little bit, because I had trouble with him, big time. I'm at peace with it now, and we've hopefully found some type of resolution. But at the beginning, it was tough because you don't want to be enjoying something when your child can't do it either. And I felt selfish because I was getting to enjoy, and my son wasn't either. And he's worked his whole life for this and for us.
And it was his senior year to boot.
His senior year, and it sucked. We did a lot of praying, and we had a lot of people looked at him. We took him to a specialist, and we've been doing some things. Rocky Sexton, they've been doing a lot of things with him at his clinic, and we've had doctors look at him, and Dr. Tabbitt, and people help us, and we're at peace with it, and I'm just happy that it wasn't something to keep him out. Limited is better than nothing, and we're just happy to be where he's at, and we just have to keep an eye on it because it's never going to go away.
But he's really kind of returned to he's starting to return to the norm, which for people that have watched Kai progress is 3-point shooting. He was pinpoint. I mean, he's one of the best shooters around, and that's starting to come back now.
It is, and there's going to be times, and you saw it. He played at the beginning of the first two games versus Woodrow, and then we had to sit him out, and that might be something that we just have to watch how he is. Every morning I'm like, how are you feeling? How we're doing a lot of stuff to keep it from acting up. We ice, we stretch, even doing acupuncture, things to be proactive, but you won't know until how much he's doing in practice and games. We've got to limit him, so I've got to be a little more strategic about how I play him. But he's taken off, and the only thing that's kept him at bay is his freaking injury. Guy is a phenomenal athlete. He can shoot the ball, he passes it. Just having him in there just changes our whole entire team, and now his grit and his will to want to win, because it was almost taken away from him for something like that. The stuff we went through at the beginning of the year is testament to him and his want to, and his personality. So he's going to play all season, and it's just a matter of we'll see how he does with back-to-backs or 3 games. We got a lot of 3 games and 4 nights here, and he's still got to get his wind. But we're way better when Kai's playing, and we're way better when he's being successful and scoring and facilitating. So I'm just happy, just not even from a basketball standpoint, have him back on the floor as a dad, and watch and his senior year with him I would not want to go through it without him, and I'm happy that he's able to, get in here and get after it.
Right. A guy you called the best on-ball defender, I think, in the state of West Virginia, Jalon Bailey.
Yeah.
Is he pound per pound? And you don't understand. I'm saying pound per pound. Is he the toughest player you coach?
Jalon's used to hearing pound for pound a lot.
Well, he said I've always been kind of undersized. So yeah.
Jalon, and he takes that challenge on. He doesn't try to be somebody that he's not. He's comfortable in his own skin. He likes who he is. He loves how he plays. And I've not. Braden was a really good ball defender too. But Jalon doesn't have the size or the stature that a lot of these guys do. And his lateral quickness and his ability to open his hips and guard guys is second to none. And it makes us go. You're
talking about the riding down the kind of like cold cat.
Yeah, and he does it. He does it without fouling, and
right.
that's the most amazing thing. Anybody that knows defense or knows basketball or knows about defending the ball, it's one of the hardest things to do is to guard the ball full court without fouling.
Weren't they going to do away with that rule? I mean, didn't they come up with the rule? And I think we kind of called it the Cole Chapman rule for a while, just because of the way there would be no more riding guys down the court. But I think they kind of never really did away with it. They said they were going to start calling that more.
Yeah, as long as you're not bumping people off the spot, you can still wall people up and get your angles. There, there's nothing. You just can't bump them off their spot, or
right.
You can still. He's good at beating people to the spot, and when you beat a ball defender to a spot, they have nowhere to go. And then when you have nowhere to go, you're turning them. And when you're turning them, it makes it harder to set the offense up, and it wears a lot of guards down. And you can do that and you can practice that, but you got to have a guy that can do it. I can want to do that all I want, but you got to have the guy to go out there and do it. It's not about me. It's nothing my X's and O's. It's about Jalon's will wanting to go do it. And,
I think maybe pound for pound, maybe one of the best basketball players nobody talks about.
100%.
I mean, around the area because of what he does. I mean, it probably cost him a spot on the all tournament team, I would assume. I don't know what caused that. But he probably should have been on there.
I'll say this, and I still want it, and I still think we should be able to have it as a defensive player in the state of West Virginia for basketball. And I think Jalon should get that. And I'm not putting media or putting sports writers down, but I don't think a ton of people value defense over offense. And I think that's why you see it in football with fantasy football and penalties and throwing flags, because people want to see more offense. And I think he's kind of been put back as just a utility player, as opposed to, man, he can do it on both ends of the floor. And I think sometimes he gets the raw end of the deal on that because he's such a good defender. But anybody that knows basketball, that scouts us or watches us, knows what the deal is, and I know what the deal is, and his teammates know what the deal is. He's one of a kind defender.
Did you not famously use the media to make defense look cool?
I did. Yeah, that's
whether it was on the radio or in the paper.
I remember a certain radio show. One of my buddies that I used to do all the time. That was a good show. I missed that. Bring it back.
That's what we need to do.
we do need to bring it back.
That.
I remember a lot of people tuned into that.
I remember you talking quite a bit extensively about defense, and for you to and I put it to Jalon like this, for your coach who loves defense to call you one of the best on-ball defenders must mean a lot. I think it did.
Yeah.
I mean, because of what that means to the program.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a defense. You said you would win the state championship. Using defense, and probably everybody, myself included, and guys on the radio, probably didn't quite believe that you would be able to do that, but you've won two now.
Yeah, and it is, and as a coach, you've got to truly believe in what you're selling, so you can, put that out to the guys, and they've got to buy in as well. And if they know you don't believe, then there's no way that they're going to buy in. So that's just who we are.
Last thing, and I'll ask it like I probably would have on a radio show.
Mm-hmm.
Your son's talked about what his favorite moment was, and the first one he said was he had hit a bunch of threes, got in the game as a freshman, hit a bunch of threes, but took a charge. And the first thing you said to him was, you may not even remember this, but you said, that's the kind of thing that would get you on the floor.
Yeah.
And then the other one, obviously, was the state tournament. Do you remember that moment in Charleston when you were able to, you found your son?
Yeah.
What was that like? And I know you're a guy who wears your emotions on your sleeve, and
I mean, it was just something we've talked about our whole lives, and you know, I remembered exactly where I was, right there in the middle of the floor when Amar and I embraced, and Amar's is just like my son, but to find Kai and be able to, embrace my son.
Did you guys say anything? Did you even have to say anything?
We did it.
We did.
We did it, and sometimes actions speak louder than words, and just our embrace alone was enough. And to enjoy that at half court, to win a state championship with your son, doesn't get any bigger than that, because I'm tough on him and I'm hard on him, and to see all that happen and the fruits of your labor be right there with your son I love all my guys, but my son is my son, and is pretty awesome moment for both of us.
Well, I think you can tell Jack you about got it too.
Yeah.
I apologize for that, but I thought I should give you a chance to say it too.
Yeah.
Ronnie, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.